I have no idea what's going on. It's trying to connect, but it's oh, okay. Guys, wait lang ah. Okay. Finally. My God, this is so frustrating. Sorry, guys. As you can see, I was having a little bit of a technical difficulty. May pinagpapawisan ako dahil na naloka ako dito sa issue ng technical difficulty natin. Anyway, so this has been a very crazy past several days. Miss Universe is going on at what do you call this? At going on currently at Bangkok, Thailand. And I am kind of a bit confused on what's going on, especially with the fact that things doesn't seem to be going so well for the pageant. Okay, so currently my setup is that I'm also monitoring yung ano natin, yung mga ganaps natin on what do you call this? On Instagram. So I have a dual camera set up. I have my laptop on so that if there are any comments na sumulpot sa tawag ito sa live stream natin on oh shoot, it's not playing on okay. Guys, I've tried last Saturday or was it Saturday or Friday? Last Saturday to do a dual live stream, and apparently the Instagram is not connected. It's not connecting well. So unfortunately, probably we just have to deal with doing the live stream here on what do you call this? Here on YouTube. Okay, so it has been a very confusing past 3 days because we thought that Miss Universe is going on. It's going on well because the last time that we had Miss Universe in Thailand, it was in 2018, and it was spectacular from day one until the day it ended around November. Was it November or December 17? I'm not sure. However, I was a little bit, I think it's November, sorry. So, however, I am a little bit flabbergasted with the fact that currently, it seems that nothing is going right for the Miss Universe organization and the hosting committee. It feels like there has been so many miscommunication that it feels like this is not the same Miss Universe that we got to love before. Okay? So, medyo ano tayo, medyo ano tayo. Oops, sorry. Sorry about that. So medyo na ano tayo na nawiwin lang tayo sa mga kaganapan. Okay, so let me just what do you call this? Let me just check this one out. Something's going on in our Instagram. It's trying to connect. So anyway, so there. So what we're going to be doing in this evening is that let's try to make sense of this very chaotic na kaganapan. Okay? It really is very un-Miss Universe like that we are having this kind of issues at Miss Universe, and it's draining, the prestige out of the pageant, in my opinion. Okay, so good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is dry. Everyone is, in a safe place while watching this live stream. We are doing a dual setup. I am having my Instagram live and my YouTube live simultaneously. So kung medyo duduling-duling na ako, it's because I am looking at two different cameras simultaneously. Okay? So, first and foremost, I kinda need to put in context muna siguro yung ano natin, yung live stream natin today because coming from a background where I used to cover Miss Universe back in the Trump and the IMG era, there has been such change in terms of how the Miss Universe pageant seems to be carried out, that I don't believe that we had this much of a confusion, this much of a disorganized setting of the pageant, because it has never been this way in my experience covering from 2014 to 2019. So, I think both sides, both the MU organization as well as the hosting committee under Nawat's MGI Limited na company, there have faults. And those faults would have been easily addressed if they had a pre-production meeting or a pre-production plan so that they are able to carry out the competition in such a manner that there is no statement coming from both sides every day. Okay? Because 3 days, three different memos, very confusing, and they are clearly not communicating well. They are not clearly communicating in such a manner that is expected of a professional. Okay? So because let's start muna with my experience covering Miss Universe pageant in the past, because when I was covering Miss Universe under Sash Factor, I actually enjoyed the experience. Everything was fun. Everything was pretty much a positive experience even for us na mga media people. Isa sa yun sa mga bagay that I really cherish when it comes to covering Miss Universe. And I love it so much that after my first year, I kept coming back for more. I've watched it being held in Doral. I've watched it being held in the Philippines. I've watched it being held in Thailand as well as in Las Vegas. And I have never experienced a very chaotic Miss Universe, a very messy Miss Universe staging on the first 3 days pa lang. So, how did this happen? Because back in my experience, way back in the years 2014 to 2019, I have experienced the Miss Universe pageant to be very organized. Under the leadership of Donald Trump and of course IMG, during the IMG era, it was really very well paced, well organized. Everything is at its place. And kaming mga journalists, kaming mga nagko-cover ng pageants, we are given like a press junket of schedule. So nakalagay doon where, when, what, and what to expect. Okay? So that has been something that we have experienced for a long time. Kaya medyo kakaiba itong nangyayari ngayon. Okay? So during that time, the details were officially communicated to us through email. So we have a Sash Factor at Gmail na tawag ito na email for official communications before, and all of the communications are well planned, well advised in advance. So everything was in its proper place. Kung saan sa hotel, kailan, anong oras kami magpipick up ng mga credentials namin, anong araw yung allowed lang na mag-pick up ng credentials. So kung sinabi nilang you only have 2 days, 3 days, or 4 days to pick up credentials on this place, and kung hindi mo pa na-pick up yung credentials mo by then, you have to pick up at the satellite office of Miss Universe in the hotel at ganitong araw at ganitong oras lang. So, everything is well set up, everything is well provided in terms of information. Walang gulatan kung saan magpipick up ng credential, saan ang susunod na event, ilan yung candidates na pupunta, kasi it was well informed in advance. I remember in Doral that even the night before nag-email ang Miss Universe through Jackie Shahinian, yung PR personnel nila before, sa amin, saying that there is a slight change. Instead of 2 o'clock, it has been moved to around 4 o'clock because there is a sudden sudden courtesy call, for example, ng mga candidates, ng mga girls on a certain political figure in Doral, so we have to move a little bit the schedule, so we allow time din for the girls to have lunch, for example. So these things are all well communicated. I don't see that here at Miss Universe 2025. It feels so chaotic and messy that sometimes I feel that all of these could have been done and ironed out by having a sit down, ironing everything that needs to be talked about, and then scheduling it in such a manner that everyone in the entire team, from the Miss Universe organization down to the hosting committee, down to the people at the hotel, know how to manage the schedules. Okay, so before we get into the meat of the conversation, mangumusta muna lang tayo sa mga nandito ngayon. Sa Instagram natin, nandito si Miss D202, si Crown underscore her, nandito din. Si Dorothy is in our YouTube live stream. Si Ira, si Palavras, Sabedoria, and AI on a shoestring. Okay, so unahin muna natin yung mga comments here because I want to have a breaker muna before we get into the meat and bones of things. So Dorothy says, I blame MUO. Why were they not there in the first place? We'll talk about that later because I also have a question about that later on. Ira says, hi po. Hello, Ira. Baka po for cloud Sir Jason para mapag-usapan, question mark, or talagang mishandling lang talaga. I feel that it is not a planned PR stunt. Honestly, I feel that this is more of a mismanaged situation rather than something that they do for para lang mapag-usapan. It really feels that this is very disorganized. So, AI on a shoestring says, on the flip side, we can see it as enough time to recover. It's only been 3 days with more to go. Hopefully, they don't move the coronation night as some posts suggested earlier. Okay, AI on a shoestring, it was mentioned in the latest statement and memo from the Miss Universe organization that it will move accordingly as planned. So, there won't be any major changes. I am sure they will do everything that they can to ensure that everything is gonna go smoothly, because it will be detrimental for the Miss Universe brand and the hosting committee as well if they postpone or they move or they make major changes in the time, date, venue or whatnot of the competition. Okay, so let's split muna. Let's try to split the discussion and talk about the different players here. Okay, so we have, of course, Raul Rocha as the co-owner of the Miss Universe organization. We have Mario Bucaro, who is the current CEO, appointed CEO and president of the Miss Universe organization upon the vacation of the title and duties and responsibilities by Kun An because of legal matters. And then we have Nawat Itzara Grisil, who is the owner of the MGI Limited Company, which is the hosting arm, the production arm of the Miss Universe 2025 pageant. Now, the first the first time that I felt that there is going to be a major clash was several weeks back, around October. I think it was third week or second week of October. And in that time frame, it was made public that because Telemundo does not have the technology to broadcast a 4K resolution of the Miss Universe pageant, Nawat's company have no other choice but to deliver the pageant in a 1080p format. So ano yung what does that technical jargon means? It means that if you have 4K here, 1080k is there. So if you are watching YouTube, pinakamababa, the lowest is 360p, going to 480, going to 1080, 740, and then 1080, and then it goes up to 2K and then 4K. The highest so far in terms of picture clarity, in terms of crispiness of video, in terms of the video quality that you can have is at 4K. That is what Nawat is doing for the Miss Grand Thailand and the Miss Grand International na pageants. However, because Telemundo does not have that technology, Nawat would have to make adjustments and lower down the quality of the video production to a 1080, which is, if you are watching it on your phone or on your tablet, that is pretty much very much acceptable. However, if you want to watch it on a flat screen TV that is maybe 50 inches huge, the 1080 would actually pixelate, unlike the 4K, that will deliver a more crisp video. So in that sense, in that area, I was already having like, this is going to be an issue later on for them, because Nawat is very much concerned with the high quality production. And knowing how Miss Universe was held at Mexico last year, I was expecting, oh no, if Mexico is going to be very dictative in terms of what are the parameters of how the production is going to be delivered, we might see some clash here. I did not expect that on day one and until day three, as early as that, there are already conflicts that is happening, and these conflicts fundamentally stems from the fact that I don't think they had a pre-production planning to iron things out, which is very, for me, different from how the Miss Universe pageant was delivered and planned during the time of Paula Shugart and her previous American predecessors in planning the Miss Universe pageant. So that is where I first felt that there's going to be a little bit of trouble, for the lack of a better word, so or friction. And then what happened was, suddenly day one we have Miss Universe issuing that they are not allowing the voting, it's not permitted, the dinner is not a what do you call this, it's not a sanctioned activity, all of which know what is doing for Miss Grand, and applying those at Miss Universe. So it kind of felt for me a little bit of a mismatch in terms of, this is not on brand for Miss Universe. So that is what I feel. It felt that the Miss Universe organization needed to step in in order to ensure that all of these kind of pocket events are clearly communicated. So I get where the Miss Universe organization from the standpoint of Mario Bocaro and Raul Rocha is coming from. Okay, that for me, I think very sensible. However, I was also starting to question the fact that I haven't seen Mario Bocaro or Raul Rocha in Thailand during the first 3 days of the Miss Universe pageant, which is very much a stark contrast with how Miss Universe was during the time of Paula Sugar. And of course the Trump and ING eras, because prior a day or two or even sometimes a week prior to the Miss Universe happening in whatever venue or whatever country that it is being held on, the Miss Universe organization are already arriving or have already arrived at the venue, so that everything that needs to be planned, prepared, that needs to be executed prior to the arrival of the candidates are all well ironed out. They are all discussed and planned and executed in a manner that everyone knows where the pieces fit in. Everyone knows where they are being stationed and why they are being stationed there. So that is something that I feel um, should have been a learning experience that have been passed on from the previous organization handling the Miss Universe organization to the current one. That is not what I see, because it looks like everyone has schedules of their own that they are not communicating. They are not even sitting down and having a discussion on this. This is where I felt that the presence of Kun An would have been able to mitigate, the clashes between Raul and Nawat. I think from my perspective, I think that Kun An would have been a great middle person to be able to balance out and have a sort of middleman between the expectations of the Miss Universe organization under Raul versus the hosting committee and what they are going to deliver. That is not what I am seeing. What I am seeing is that kanya-kanya sila ng diskarte, and that's not how you do the pageant. When I was covering Miss Universe in Las Vegas during the time of Rachel Peters, alam na namin na this is going to be like a mezzanine level preliminaries. However, even that, things were communicated officially in such a manner that it still was handled in the most professional way that they can. Um, I was able to experience, because how small the stage, because how harsh the lightings are. These are what you need to be doing in order to get the better picture that you need for your coverages. And we were seated in such a manner that we are given special or preferential treatment ng mga nasa media in the way that the organization positioned us for better angles so that the girls would look at their best. um, we are given priority so that we are able rather to get really crisp photographs. So everything that they do it is to make the girls look good. This is not what I see happening at Miss Universe currently, because what I see is that they are they are competing against each other for whatever glory or whatever prestige that it would give them, or it would give their names to it. Now, I feel that overall, the people in the Miss Universe organization that is based in Mexico, I feel that they're too lazy, and that they're not really invested on how it is run, and they're just there for the money. On the other side, on the flip side, I also feel that the Thailand hosting committee under Nawat, I feel that they are too controlling, and then they're too emotional, that they become unprofessional in the way that they deal with the girls, that the way that they communicate with the what do you call this, with the sponsors that is approved by Mexican contingent of Miss Universe. So there is like a sense of there is no one who's in the right in this conversation. There is no one who is doing the, I don't know, the thinking about the girls, and the experience of the girls, and make this experience positive for the girls. Instead, I feel like they are just upping each other up, so that the limelight is, and or the spotlight is on there. The control is on this person or on that person, and I think that is detrimental to the overall staging of the Miss Universe pageant. Now, um, I also have to question because from what I have heard from the live streams of course, Nawat, there was that he already invested $2 million US dollars to have the pageant staged in Thailand. It was all paid according to his live stream. So in terms of the monetary investment, he's already smack there, have all the fees paid out. Much like what happened when the Miss Universe was hosted here in the Philippines, where the hosting committee had already paid like 5 million allegedly, 5 million US dollars allegedly to the Miss Universe organization. So, on that sense, the best thing that the organization should do is to support the hosting committee, because the money has already been paid. You already got your money's worth, and the best thing that you can do is to support, discuss with your hosting partner, your hosting committee, that these are the parameters that we want. We don't want that the girls would have like full activities every day, because we don't want them tired. We also want the girls to enjoy the experience. On the other hand, the Thai organization should also have been communicative to the Miss Universe organization based in Mexico, saying to them, telling them that we cannot have a sponsor who is a gambling platform, because it is illegal here in Thailand. So that would have been the scenario that made this mess not happen, had they have been communicative with each other, because it is the right of the Thai organizing committee to tell them what are illegal and not allowed here in the hosting country, and at the same time for the Miss Universe organization based in Mexico to be mindful, respectful of the laws, traditions, and culture of the hosting country. That is gone here. It feels like it was a money grab from the Mexican organization, Mexican team of Miss Universe, because they already got the money. On the other hand, I also understand the frustration of Nawat and his, and the hosting committee, because they already paid for the hosting fee. Now, what they want to do is to have enough sponsor related activities, so that the candidates would have, we would be able to, give publicity to the sponsors back, and it becomes a win-win situation for the sponsors, for the hosting committee, and of course for the Miss Universe organization. That's not happening. I don't think that's happening anytime anytime soon, because from what I've heard, Mario Bocaro is still in transit, which is, for heaven's sake, why are you still just coming now? When the Miss Universe organization, the full team should have been there from the get-go, even before the Miss Universe pageant should have started. You should have been already there. That should have been the scenario that we have wanted. Because what's happening now? We're having all of these messy situation, because no one is like talking to each other. Now, adding fuel to the fire is the fact that they seem to be in an animosity against it. There's an animosity against each other, and I feel that that's not how mature, professional individuals should be discussing or should be handling stuff. Um, so uh, let's talk, okay, about that. One, I feel that because Mario is still on transit, things are not going smoothly. Because I remember during Paula Schubert's time, she was there from the very beginning, so that if there are bullshit that is happening, there are massive problems happening, it is swept under the rug, made it feel like everything is being done um, smoothly, there's no problem, and then hustle behind the scenes to solve whatever, whatever shit is happening. That's how you do it. You don't want to tarnish the Miss Universe brand by having, people like being emotional and being panic on social media, saying stuff that ultimately is going to be detrimental to the brand. Now, Mario should have been at the very beginning, or even at least 3 or 5 days before the start of the pageants, because there needs to be leadership coming from the Miss Universe organization, so that the hosting committee does not make decisions on their own. You have to make sure that as an organization, you need to protect your assets. You're not gonna leave everything lying down to the hosting committee, because without your guidance, they are gonna make mistakes, and that's what's happening now. Things that you feel should have been communicated with you or have had your approval is not happening, and things that needs to happen at the ground, you're not aware of what's going on. That is now, I think, um, is the problem that is causing all of this chaos, because you're not there. I mean, imagine if Paula Schubert was not there during the time that the Miss Universe pageant is starting. You can't imagine that, because it never happened, right? It never happened that way. She was always there, or at least Sean was there to at least, protect the image, or protect the asset of the IMG bosses. That's not what's happening here, and I hate that, because it is so unprofessional. Why is it that Raul allegedly is still in Mexico or in Italy right now? Why is he not in Thailand, making sure that the Miss Universe, brand is being protected? Why is it that Mario Bucaro is still, or is just on transit now, going to Thailand, where it has been going on for the last 3 days? So it makes me really question, why is the Miss Universe organization based in Mexico so lazy? Because again, looking at how what do you call this? At how it is being organized now versus how it's organized in Mexico. My God, the Mexico hosting was terrible, and that's on Mario, and that's on Raul, because that was your turf, that was your territory, and now you have here a organizing committee, a hosting committee under Nawat, who knows how to generate buzz, generate hype for pageant, who knows how to produce a very well produced pageant, and you're not there. It was like, kaya naman niya. They can do it. We've seen how Miss Grand is done. So let them, run away with whatever they can. So it feels like you're just milking the situation that I'm already paid anyway. So let them, let them deal with the day-to-day running. That's not good when you are, head of an organization, because without your guidance, without your hand holding and guiding them, they're gonna run with whatever they want. And that's what's happening right now. Suddenly, you didn't like the dinner, the voting. But again, where is the Miss Universe app? Why is it not live again? What happened to Choicely? What happened to the new app provider? what's going on. So that's on you. That's on the Miss Universe organization based in Mexico, because that's not under the purview of the local organizer. Second, what's going on with your social media? Your social media is so pathetic. Honestly, um, how many times have you already posted about the current situation at Miss Universe? Did you send a contingency at Thailand so that there is one who's in charge on social media, one who is in charge on the chaperones, one who's in charge of the overall day-to-day operations of the pageant, one who is head of communications? At least you need like a 12-man team, so that it runs smoothly, incongruent with the people who are running the show, the hosting committee. Because that is the way that you are able to manage this pageant without having all of this mess. Because right now, I feel that because Nawat is the only person who is there making decisions, he is in a position where he is stressed. He is I don't know. He is making decisions because there is no guidance. There is no direct communication with Mario and Raul. So it feels like he is like, let me run this like how I run the Grand International Organization. That's what's happening. So both are at fault here, because I also expect now what, that the shenanigans that he's doing at Miss Grand, making candidates cry, he wouldn't dare do that at Miss Universe, but he did. And now we have Miss Mexico, Fatima Bosch, being emotional while removing herself from the orientation. That should have been a positive experience of all the girls, because it tarnished the experience for everyone who were there in the orientation. I am not privy to what happens inside the orientation. However, based on based on some tidbits that some of our past Miss Universe Philippines and Binibining Pilipinas Universe have shared during interviews, during conversations with them, they said that expectations are being explained. What are the deliverables? What are the things that needs to be expected from the candidates? What are the expectations that the candidates can get from the Miss Universe organization? All of those are discussed. That probably was not the best time and period to chastise or to scold Miss Universe Mexico for whatever deliverables that she might not have been able to provide or handle. Um, Nawat says, the national director for Mexico, is already deported or something to that effect during the during in some of the clips that I've seen on social media. It does not bode well for you as an organizer and even as a pageant owner to scold the girl in public, because anyone who has picked up a management book, you always know that you praise in public, you criticize in private. That could have been something that has been done and communicated in a private setting, so that hindi napahiya si girl, so that the embarrassment or the shame associated with being scolded in public um, wasn't the first first thing that you remember in your pageant experience. And it's unfortunate because this is not something that pageant girls haven't experienced before. I mean, come on. Rachel Group alone, the former Miss Grand International, who resigned her title because she felt that she was being bullied by the organization headed by Nawak. Um, it kind of validates now what she's been telling, because in public, in full view of the public, you were chastising Miss Universe Mexico, Fatima Bosch, on something that she probably has no handle on or has no control on when it comes to the to her national director. And if the allegations or the rumors are true that because she did not, you know, film content or had a photograph with a sponsor who kept that she kept on saying no on opportunities to be photographed, holding, you know, a sponsor banner or something to that effect. That should have been done prior to the uh, orientation, that you ask her, okay, you know, this is something that our sponsors are paying for. So maybe you can spare some time, have photographs with them with holding their banner or something like that, and not do that during the orientation. Or much better, you tell your sponsors that every sponsor related shoot, every sponsor related activity will be done after the orientation. Once that the sashing has done, the sashing ceremony has done, once the orientation has done, once the candidate contract has been reviewed again in front of the candidates, so that officially the work that the candidates should be doing for the organization, for the sponsors, is carried out after that. That makes more sense, right? So, um, another thing that I wanted to point it out, Miss Universe Cosmetics. They came in, they flew in November, I think they arrived November 2, while some of the candidates were arriving at November 1. Okay, maybe there was again another miscommunication because Chat Cosmetics, Nawat already took them and have them provide the makeup and the um, what do you call this, the dolling up of the girls, so to speak. And it kind of felt like, wait a minute, can we like take a pause here? Why did Nawat get Chat Cosmetics when he knows for a fact that there is a Miss Universe Cosmetics brand? I mean, Nawat, uh, you should have done your research. You should have communicated. Wait, um, I should have thought of this. You, Raul, should have thought of this. What's going on? When are they? When is the Miss Universe cosmetics team flying to Thailand? What am I supposed to do for the candidates that have arrived, you know, a little bit earlier, like a day earlier? So should I ask them to wait until November 2, or should I get a local makeup sponsor to augment, so that this kind of miscommunication is avoided? Thankfully, it was settled on the first, I think it was on the first or second day, that both will be providing makeup support for the candidates. And I think that's fair, because one, if there is like a 12 to 16 contingent team for the Miss Universe Cosmetics brand, and the Miss Universe Cosmetics team who flew in to Thailand, that won't be enough to have serviced a full 122 or 123 pool of candidates. So I think there is a need for Chat Cosmetics, you know, and their team to augment the services, because 122 candidates is not a easy job for a makeup artist, especially if they're just what, maybe 26 max in the team. Maybe you need a larger contingent so that there are more people, because again, I am assuming that the 16 person team would only be makeup. How about the hair? I mean, oops, sorry. Um, you need someone to do the hair as well. So not all makeup artists can do hair. So you know, you need a larger team for that. So here's another point that I needed to discuss: playtime. Okay, I've met the people in playtime. during the Binibining Pilipinas International, sorry, Binibining Pilipinas send-off of uh, Mirna's Guerra for Miss International several days back. Here's the thing: they were excited to cover the Miss Universe pageant, and we were talking about the what to expect in the pageant, and I kind of felt like all of those efforts that they gave, that they went out on to be there from the first day of the competition, it felt like it was like thrown away suddenly because Raul's team did not even check in with the people in Thailand to double check whether or not gambling is illegal or is it permitted, which also placed, hopefully not an issue, which also placed Atisa Manalo in such a precarious situation because if gambling is not allowed, gambling is a no-no in Thailand, and the Miss Universe organization, um, a personnel from the Miss Universe organization was telling the candidates to create content on playtime in Thailand. My God, I just can't imagine the backlash that would have happened had it not that Nawat stopped that. Okay, I understand that for the MU Mexico, the MU team from Mexico, they would want to push, the whatever commitments that they had with Playtime PH, but they should have not done it in such a way that Nawat and the hosting committee is not aware of, because apparently someone, a Thai content creator told me that if you promote and you actually do gambling in Thailand, you can be sentenced to jail for 7 to 12 years. So my God, imagine what kind of headache Nawat would have had to deal with, because he would have to bail himself out of jail because of a mistake that he probably didn't know, that is committed by another party that did not know the laws in Thailand. And you know what they say about that: ignorance of the law excuses no one. So my God, this Miss Universe um, edition is just so full of mess, chaos, and unprofessionalism on both sides, because I feel that you as the heads of the organization should have had the forethought of having all of these potential problems dealt with in a conversation on how to move forward for the Miss Universe pageant. God, I really feel that this is terrible. The optics is really terrible. And not terrible in the sense that it's terrible for you guys. No, it's terrible for the entire brand, and for the entire pageant system itself. Um, People will be talking, how messy pageants are. They're gonna give the Miss Universe 2025 as an example on this is what happens in pageants. So suddenly, you're not only having an issue about pageants being irrelevant, but you're now having an issue that pageants are haphazardly being planned and executed. And as the biggest international pageant in existence, you should have been the one to provide the benchmark in terms of professionalism and in terms of delivering a planned, well executed pageant. But you're not. So saan tayo pupulutin? Where are we going to pick ourselves up from all of this mess? Because I'm telling you, if Raul and Mario's side have a problem, So is Nawat, because Nawat is too emotional. And I feel that because he is too emotional, probably because he already spent so much, he already released so much money, he is well within his rights to complain about how messy the organization, how messy the communication is, and how is he going to be able to settle things right there and on the ground when no one from the main heads of the organization is not there. I mean, come on. Imagine the time difference in terms of if he wants something that needs to be decided now, would he wait for 8, 10 hours for the Mexican side to be awake and discuss that, okay, we need your approval on this? Come on, guys. I mean, the time zone difference itself is an issue. That is why, first thing before the Miss Universe pageant even starts, day one before it starts, the organization should have already been in Thailand. That is what I am trying to say. That is why all of this could have easily been avoided. Now, okay, um, we all know that the Mexico hosting the pageant was a humdrum, was terrible. And there are expectations that Nawat, knowing how to produce a good show, will be able to deliver something like spectacular Miss Grand level production. I think the both of you, you need to have like a common goal on where you're going to bring Miss Universe in, because right now it feels like it's all scattered in the wind what direction you're trying to sail towards to. Okay, I am not saying that it's all the fault of the hosting committee under Nawat. I'm not saying that it's all the fault of Raul in the Miss Universe organization side. I am saying you both screwed up. You both have a hand in what's going on. And um, instead of showing up against each other, instead of like um, getting one up against the other, talk. I mean, you need to discuss and talk about it. Okay? So there. I am just ending the live stream on Instagram. Uh, because what do you call this? Someone is trying to message me on on the other phone. Okay. Uh, Let me just post it here. Okay, going back. So how are we going to resolve this? Because it needs to be resolved. It needs to be ironed out because we're still on day 3. We can still salvage this. It can still be a positive experience, not only for the media people, the pageant fans, but also a positive experience to the girls. Okay? What needs to be done? You need to get your acts together, talk, lay out what are the expectations of Nawat, what are the expectations of Raul and Mario, and then find a common ground on making these things happen. If it's not a win-win situation, don't push your own personal agenda. Okay? Do your work, work together because we need that. Okay? After a very terrible hosting at the Miss Universe 2024 in Mexico, we need, or rather you as an organization as a whole, need a major win. Okay, you need a major win. Why? Because honestly, your pageant prestige is eroding. Your relevance is eroding. And the only people who are talking about you are pageant fans. You're no longer a major headline grabbing newsmaker like you used to. You don't have the 80s. I think you peaked at the 80s until maybe early 90s. And after that, pageants have been in such a decline. Because I remember at around 1994 to 1996, if I'm not mistaken, the Miss Universe no, 1994 until 1994 to 1995, actually even 1993, the pageant is owned by Procter and Gamble. And then in 1996, the pageant was purchased by Donald Trump, and then we had IMG. And I think there was a major resurgence of the pageant during the Donald Trump time and during the IMG time. Donald Trump was able to create a very buzz about pageant with Miss Universe under the IMG era. Suddenly social awareness became a thing, and suddenly we have women winning not only because of their beauty but because of their social engagement, because of their social responsibility projects. You need that kind of branding for Miss Universe. What makes Miss Universe relevant nowadays? Because right now, if all I see is your issues and you're fighting on social media, your statements every day, a major statement from the organization, it really feels like you don't have your shit together. I mean, get your acts together, guys, because you need a win. And even if Victoria visited like 20, 30 countries, nobody's talking about that because the prestige has eroded so much. And now, with Miss Universe, you really need something that would propel it back to its former glory. Um, you really need a major win. And I hate to say this. I hate to be the one who is telling you this, but with the infighting between the Thai hosting committee and the Mexican Miss Universe organization, it feels you're only proving the point. And I feel this, that the Miss Universe pageant would probably be better managed by an American company. Because all of these things that you're doing is not doing well. It's not going well for the brand. It's not. It honestly is just proving the point that perhaps the Miss Universe pageant would be best handled by an American entity, an American group of company, because you are not proving that you are capable. Unfortunately, harsh as it sounds, but that is the optics that you are trying or that you are showing as of the moment. And I really feel bad because the Miss Universe was the most prestigious pageant. Nowadays, I just feel that it just ranks among the other major international pageants. It's just like it's there. It's not the top anymore because you are eroding this by having all of these issues, infighting and then scolding in public, in front of her co-candidates, a candidate. I mean, you can do better. You can be professional at what you do. And granted, Paula Sugar is not the perfect president. She has her faults, but at least she tried and she was professional. And I miss that kind of Miss Universe leadership. I'm not saying, she was perfect as the head of the organization. She had shortcomings as well. I also feel that. But I cannot blame everything on her on what went wrong with the Miss Universe organization because it is a shared responsibility within everyone in the organization. But you guys, I mean Raul and Nawat, you could have done better. In the absence of Kun An, who I assume is the mediator between the two, male egos, um, you need to work better together. Because honestly, it's not boding well for the two of you. It does not look well. Okay, I have a couple of uh, comments here on the YouTube live stream. If you have thoughts, please feel free to comment it on the chat box. Um, AI on a shoestring, saying here, are they putting a restraining order for Nawat to be away from the venue? Ha ha ha, just kidding. I'm multitasking and Mexico is milking the situation. Um, I don't know about, Nawat not being present at the uh, events. But right now, it was said that he skipped the sashing ceremony. Maybe because it's also good that it is a positive experience for the girl rather than for the girls, rather than being marred by tension of him being at the sashing ceremony. Okay, Antonella dot 0017 says, now what is classless, fool? Raul is irresponsible. I kind of agree. Harsh as it may sound, but yes, I agree. Um, Antonella continues to say both Nawat and Raul are buffoons. I think it's that they have huge egos, um, and it is that huge ego that makes it difficult for them to work with each other. Uh, I really feel that all of this is avoidable problems. But hey, it's there. All you can do now is to solve it. And you kind of need to work together to solve all of these issues because it's not boding well for the Miss Universe brand. Okay, are there any more comments? Because we've been chatting for like an hour now, and I want to wrap this up before it becomes too long of a conversation. Okay. Anything that I missed here? No, I don't think so. Okay, so as a parting thought, um, the Miss Universe pageant has always been for me the pinnacle of all pageants. However, nowadays it feels like it's not. I actually plan to go and watch Miss Universe. However, because of certain personal and professional commitments, I need to be here. And it happened that um, during the day that the Miss Universe pageant is airing, I have a class. So it's a huge conflict. Um, so now I understand the problem here is not just the need for communication, but the need for the people in the organization to set aside whatever their gripes, their issues are, and really make the best Miss Universe edition um, in the last 5 6 years. Um, because the last time that we are really wowed by the Miss Universe pageant was when it was held in Thailand, when Catriona Gray won in 2018. And I kind of miss that kind of pageant where everyone is happy, everyone is in such a good mood because there are no issues among the people who run the organization. So whatever issues it's between the fans or fans of the girls, but it was never issues within the organization itself. And if even there are issues within the organization, it is resolved, it is discussed, it is argued perhaps at the privacy of their own what do you call this? Privacy of their own offices. And honestly, I miss that kind of Miss Universe because that was for me why pageants are being run, or rather how pageants are being run by professionals. So I do hope that you, being the ones in Thailand, the ones who are making the decisions, to really sit down and think, is this going to bode well for the both of us if we screw up the Miss Universe staging this year in a pageant aficionado country, in a country that can provide the best production during a time where pageants are slowly being thought of as irrelevant. It's up to you on how are you going to answer that. Because honestly, as a Miss Universe fan, I'm tired because all of this makes it feel like this is not the Miss Universe that I grew up with. This is not the Miss Universe that I covered in the years past. This is not the professionalism that I expect from people at the top of the organizations. So, one last comment here from Share. Sorry, uh, from My Super Cooper says, how could Atisa distance herself from the mess? Antonella is also asking, who are your early top favorites among the candidates? Um, Cher is saying na according to Nawat, the MEO press did not inform him regarding programs and activities. Art Laurent, hello Art. The hosting, sabi niya, the hosting is an epic fail. Yes, I agree Art. It is an epic fail. Fortunately, the pageant is still way off. They still have time to rectify. They still have time to make this a positive experience, not only for the girls, but for everyone as well. So I am hoping that they work with their differences behind closed doors. If they need to go to a boxing match and hash it out physically, then do so at the privacy of just them and their teams. And then come out later fully committed to make the pageant better. Okay? Magbagdagulan kayo, magsuntukan kayo in private. Whatever it needs to be done so that you have so you get it out of your system. Okay? Share, going back to your comment here, according to know what the MEO press did not inform him regarding the programs and activities. Again, this is a situation that both parties needs to resolve, not just because it's the fault of this person, but rather how can both parties can resolve this. Okay. My Super Cooper, how should Atisa distance herself from this mess? Speaking of playtime, I think right now the best thing that Atisa can do is to just not make too much noise on social media. Kinda, kinda feel it and see if there is a cooling period that's happening before getting waves back again, getting attention back again. Right now, you want to stay as far away as possible. Atisa needs to distance herself from all of this mess. But I also understand that as Miss Universe Philippines, she is essentially the ambassador of Playtime PH. She needs to learn how to navigate, the situation in a savvy manner. Okay? Um, Antonella 0017 says Nawat shouldn't embarrass and scold those adult and professional women. I agree. I 100% agree because the girls are there not to, not to experience being shamed, but rather for them to voice out their thoughts, their opinions in a platform, in one of the remaining few platforms that is dedicated for women. And shaming them in public, it's never a good look for the pageant because it is detrimental for the Miss Universe brand, and it is detrimental for the entire pageantry image as a whole. Um, Okay, Art Laurent says, good thing I decided not to fly to Bangkok to watch this year. You know, Art, I was actually hoping to go, but with all of these shenanigans, I kind of feel like, what's the point flying there? Because I had experienced a very professionally run Miss Universe when I was covering the pageants from 2014 to 2019. And I felt that if I go there right now and I go there just to witness all of this mess, it kind of dampens the mood. It kind of feels like this is not the pageant that I grew up with. This is not the pageant that I've known and loved for so long, and it's not the kind of experience that I want for myself. Um, wait. Mama RuPaul says, ngayon lang ako Okay. Ngayon lang ako nakakakita ng MUO president na inunang makipagparinigan kesa mag-show up sa pageant niya. I agree. I mean, if you are a owner or you are the president or CEO of a pageant organization, you have to be there. You have to be on site and not just bark orders from 1,000 miles away. I mean, especially you have to factor in as well the time zone differences between Mexico and Thailand, or Italy and Thailand if you're in Italy. Because, Raul, you are a professional businessman, and you should know how to delegate. If Mario is not there as your CEO, as your president of the organization to make things run smoothly, then who is there to make all of things happen? I mean, there has to be someone from the organization who is there on site, okay? So that things would not happen that is not within your information. And you also need to communicate with them if you have sponsors, you have activities that you want scheduled that they are not aware of. Okay? Um, MHTXI says, kahit anong gawin ng mga miyembro ng MU organization, let us mind our own business, which is focused to win. This is not a conversation on just what do you call this, on just the Filipino pageant fandom. This is a conversation about the entirety of pageant fans as well. It's not just isolated on the Filipino pageants, but also for the Mexican pageants who felt bad for Fatima Bosch, or for everyone who is covering the event, the Filipino pageant pages, the Thai pageant pages, the Latino pageant pages who are currently in Bangkok covering the event, because it puts them in a precarious situation that, what am I going to do with all of this information? Am I going to be punished by which side if I reveal all of these in my socials? So it is a larger conversation, not just about the Philippines, and that's it. No, it is a huge, massive issue that everyone, wherever you are in the conversation, wherever you are in the world, if you are a pageant fan, you are, sort of affected by it. Okay? Um, Tea Spiller, is it inherently bad that a pageant promotes gambling? Because Miss Earth has been doing it. Okay, unpopular opinion. For me personally, yes, I feel that it goes against a lot of good values. Because there are a lot of lives that is destroyed because of gambling. So I really feel, and on a personal note, again, this is a personal opinion, that gambling and pageants should not mix. Because again, pageant girls, pageant queens, and winners, when they promote gambling, it feels like it goes against them being good role models. Okay, and if you are a good role model, you need to embody the values of, is it right to promote something that is so addictive? Um, so that is for me. I don't know for everyone. Everyone has a different take on this, because in as much as I am not for it, I've seen not only Miss Universe Philippines, Binibining Pilipinas have platforms like this as well. So I feel that ultimately, we as a pageant fandom need to be more, um, we need to ask ourselves if do we agree with gaming platforms as sponsors for pageants, because pageants are a business and they need sponsors like them to survive. So I understand where the pageants are coming from, but I also understand that there are people who are affected by addiction to gambling, and it is not a good look, personally. Okay. Um, uh, Antonella, sige, mga huling comments na ito. Antonella, point 0017 says, MUPH is the sole bridge to Philippine-based sponsors. Why associate always with gambling like Bingo Plus and Playtime? Uh, uh, and continuing sa kanyang comment, as per MUIG social media, Mario is on the way to Thailand right now. Again, for me, him just leaving now, going to Thailand, too late. Damage has been done with the first 3 days of back and forth statements, issues, scandals, controversies. I mean, the mere fact that Victoria, the reigning Miss Universe, Victoria, walked out of the orientation because of what happened with Miss Universe Mexico, it says something. It says a lot about the how this pageant has fallen in terms of its core values. Okay. Um, Okay. So, Mama RuPaul is saying here, why Raul told Fatima not to promote sponsors and Thailand. Sila nga bumubuhay sa pageant nila, dinamay niya sa bangayan nila ang girls. If it is true that, Raul instructed, Fatima to do that, Raul placed Fatima in an impossible situation because, as a candidate, there are sponsors who will, who demand a return on their investment to the brand. And if you are a pageant girl who cannot deliver on the need of the sponsors, then why should judge pick you as the next Miss Universe? Okay? Even if it is being instructed by your national director, you as a pageant girl should always remain professional. So the way that Fatima dealt with what happened with her, on site and with media present, interviewing her, she did a perfectly good job. She said that it is not an assault against the Thai country or the Thai pageant fans, but it was just the national director of Thailand that made this situation imperfect, made the situation, unprofessional. Okay. But if it is true, then Raul, if it's true that Raul instructed Fatima to not take photos with the sponsors, then that's on Raul. That's an issue on Raul's integrity, not on Fatima. Okay? My Super Cooper says Playtime is actually owned by a Canadian company. Yes, but it is based, the one that is sponsoring the pageant is the arm that is based on the Philippines. But good to know that it is a foreign company. Okay? Antonella, sabi niya, imagine na what always calls the police and the security. Again, Antonella, I kind of explained this earlier because he did not report this to the police. It's going to be him who will be charged for the crime. So it is better that maybe for his own sake, for his own security, he needed to report the incident rather than the authorities finding out later and then find him complicit with what's happening in terms of the gambling issue. Okay, Antonella, your comment here saying na what is unprofessional, I agree and disagree. They are both unprofessional because this could have been done and dealt with in the privacy of a conference, a private conference or a private discussion. Okay, so guys, I am really, really grateful for this wonderful live stream that I had with you. At least nailabas na natin sa lahat ng mga yung mga issues na gusto nating pag-usapan, and I hope that we can move forward from, move forward from all of this. There is a need for us to expect the good in people, especially from these, heads. Because if we don't expect them to be good, to be professional, um, it would be lesser probability for them to rise up to the occasion. So if we hope and trust and pray and expect them to act professionally, who knows? Maybe they are going to realize it themselves that this is not how professionals actually deal with differences in opinion, differences in management style or management system. I do hope that moving forward, all the things that we are going to be hearing from the people in on site in Thailand are just positive news. So that's it, guys. There's nothing more I want to add, and I do hope na will all cool down later on. So before we leave, please, I hope that you leave a thumbs up, you like our content, or subscribe to our channel for more fashion and pageant related topics. Okay, that's it, guys, and see you again in our next live stream, and see you again soon. Bye, everyone.